I risk my life to get him? Sure, he has the Baetylus and axe, but are those really worth my life? If I escape now, I could probably make it out of the city, but what then? What if I encounter more guards? I wanted my orc to fend them away. What if I'm wanted outside of Break City? Do I just keep running until I stumble on a solution? Find a way to hide? Now, I've gotten this chance, and by stealing, I'm going to take it. The Baetylus will be mine. Mika's hands throbbed in pain as they shone lightly in the purple light. What? He glanced down at the cuts he had at the back of his hands, glowing in that eerie and, more importantly, attention-grabbing light. He stuffed them in his shirt and huffed. What is going on? The sound of sword against wood door struck his ear again. Right, here I go. Mika hated moving under pressure, but there was little choice now. He kept the walls, freezing each time he thought he saw the shadows move near him. He was practically crawling low, hoping the fading glow from his palms was unseen from above. But thankfully, that and the pain calmed the closer he got to his goal, until he found himself watching a few hooded figures go at the wooden door he was heading to, where he left the big oath of an orc. What now? Even the orc got wounded taking this many at once. One of the human guards grunted, so Mika snapped his attention and headed towards them. Right, the guards, who were more than that coming towards us. Where are they? Perhaps they spread around? There should be a way to lead them here if there are. Is the noise not doing it? We need a sharper noise, or something that can be seen through all of these alleyways. A bright light, but where? In the sky? I don't have that kind of magic. I have wind on my side. Can I spread my voice through all these narrow streets? Apparently enough strength left in me to reopen the lock, if they don't bring down the door first. This was a leap in logic, but that's all he had to work with. Now what to do? The guard grunted again, and this time said, "They're denting the chain!" And then it hit him, as the loud voice came to his ears, struggling over the fighting. That's so simple. He only had to hope it wouldn't be his death, but at worst, he would run, and the construct seemed more interested in the warehouse anyway. He took a deep breath, placing 2 fingers in an arch within his mouth, and he blew. A whistle, like a sharp stab in everyone's eardrums, spun into the air. The guards seemed momentarily spun, shaking their hands and grumbling. Yet with weapons and shields in hand, they couldn't hold their ears and kept dazed. The contract snapped in all directions as black clouds moved through the night, and then, as the whistle failed, a distant cry. Over here! The guards, reinvigorated, fought, and so the construct had no choice but to fight back harder. Mika thanked all the gods he could remember that laying flat in the blackness of the alleyway was enough to make it seem like he's just another discarded rug. It was not long before reinforcement came, and the construct had to turn from the door toward the armored men who came pouring in. The guards would soon overwhelm them, so now was the time. Mika concluded as he ran toward the door. He was trying not to think of fighting happening right behind him, and cleared his head just enough to blow out slowly and hear a click, removing the heavy lock. He was trying to gently place the lock on the ground, thanking the gods again that he wasn't slashed in the back, and ran into the warehouse. The Baetylus was where he had left it, attached to the orc and his axe. Mika sighed in relief, and then it dawned on him. How are they getting out now? He could barely do it by himself. How was he getting out with a wounded orc? Wait, maybe there was an in-house here? Mika went to glance around the room and search for anything. A hole, a bucket? He found a bucket. Great. He came back to Naraka. First, he would need to wake up the orc. Maybe he will be better after a short rest. Halfling slapped Naraka's face and tried to speak into his ear in a controlled volume. Naraka, wake up, Naraka! The orc snorted, but remained grunting to itself instead of waking. Naraka! Naraka! Mika raised his voice, trying to pull on the orc's fangs and kick its legs to little snort-worthy effects. Mika grunted, Naraka! Combat! The orc snapped to attention, rising to its feet with axe in hand as if he was summoned back from the dead. Mika quickly moved back, or rather was pushed back by the rising behemoth, and then looked back to the door. But relief washed over him as the noise outside drowned the noise in here, in part thanks to the partition. Naraka, can you move? Mika glanced up at the orc, the greenskin coming down from his tenseness as his body realized most of his wounds still weighing down. Nevertheless, the orc looked down and nodded. Right, Mika concluded. He has a mobile orc, but they will still have to go back through the front door. There was no escape below, and the roof. Mika glanced upward into the darkness. He realized that he could see dimly both him and Raka due to the glow from the back of his hands. The pain stopped throbbing once he got near the orc, but did not stop completely, as if it was pulling at him still. Am I bound to this orc? The Baetylus? Both? Was this magic already locked in the Baetylus, or did it manifest by itself? Can that even happen like that? Mika shook his head. He needed to stop his tendency to extrapolate on everything, from the Baetylus to escaping alive, so he could continue to extrapolate on this later. There were no visible holes in the roof, no crates stacked high enough to reach it. It would take them a long time to start moving crates to try and escape topside, but then either they would have guards questioning them for possibly several accounts alongside breaking and entering, or a horde of construct that would skip the question part just and kill them. He tried to move one of the crates just to make sure, and pointed to Naraka to try the same. After a few moments of watching, he stopped the orc before he would reopen his wounds. The orc then decided to crack one of the crates open against Mika's wishes, and the two saw a stack of metal beams inside, likely to be important to Frask, Mika concluded. The halfling now finally accepted that there was only one remaining way forward. Mika sighed, knowing what was to come. The fighting outside was shifting again. For all the reinforcement the guard brought, the cloaked figures were lacking vital points to hit. They were stone and metal and wood, and beneath dark cloaks they blended into the night. It was hard to pinpoint a strike with a sword, and slashing too wide here was dangerous. Between narrow walls and hitting their own men, the guards soon realized the problem of their reinforcements, while on the other hand the construct seems to start learning where to hit. The chainmail covered torso, the shields protected the sides, but with amazing coordination for eyeless constructs, they were able to flank and go for the legs, dropping the guards down to the floor and finishing them off. Indeed, it seems as if the construct were about to boomed out of the warehouse as the door slammed open. A large orc was rushing out, shoulder first, knocking aside any construct or guard on their way, with what looked like a squatting halfling on their back, pointing. Both parties on the battlefield did not know what to do with this information until the orc was already plowing through them. And at that point, the constructs immediately slapped to attention, only for the guards to use that opportunity to break them apart. The guards, much more concerned with getting out alive than pursuing the duo, were turning the tide, as the remaining construct tried to claw ineffectively at a momentum-gaining orc. Attempting to stab at him were coming with a lag, and just at the point it seemed they focused on where the orc was, he already broke through, springing down an open alleyway. Good. Where are you going? Mika was confused and afraid when Uraka turned away from the alleyways Mika marked, and he was running to an unknown location. Orcs see quite well in the dark, so maybe he's choosing wider alleyway? Mika's last thoughts as the greenskin jumped into the air and through a manhole where... I'm going to die! And why are the back of the orc's hands glowing?